Alright, so this is going to be a video talking about my walk-behind mowers here. You can see I have three of them. I have an older 48-inch Bobcat Ransomes mower, walk-behind, a Skag 52-inch mower with the Advantage deck walk-behind, and then I just got this one. This is a Skag SWZT walk-behind, so it's got the adjustable deck and a different set of controls and hydrostatic transmission. So as you can tell, I run all walk-behind mowers in my business, and that is just because of how versatile these machines are. So whereas if you get a zero-turn mower or something else, you can really only use that on flat lawns. And I have a bunch of properties that are really hilly, and these walk-behind mowers, especially these ones, I haven't used that one much yet, but I know these two, you can really get them pretty much anywhere. They have a super low center of gravity, so they don't flip. When it's wet outside, they stick to the lawn really well, and they don't really tend to slide, but if they do, it's not too bad, and you can usually manage it and keep it under control. So overall, these things are a lot safer to have on hills. The other reason I like to use the walk-behind mowers is just because of how cheap they are, and how easy they are to maintain, right? So the engine, like even this one is super old. The engine's right there, right? Everything is right there, so if I ever need to work on it or do anything to it, I don't have to go and take the whole machine apart. I can just go do the repair real quick, and it's usually pretty quick and easy. So what I usually do, and what I recommend to anyone else who's pretty handy do, is buy one of these machines in the off season. So that would be in the winter or late fall when people are looking to get rid of these things, and the prices on them, at least for the used market, they usually drop pretty significantly. So what I usually do is just buy one that I know has a lot of issues. So this one I picked up for I think it was $600, and it needed a couple new seals in the transmission over here, and it needed all new belts, and then the engine needed a little bit of work done to it. And then this one, it had transmission issues. The engine didn't run so smooth, so I went ahead and rebuilt the entire transmission. Put new belts on this one as well. And then this one, which I just bought, has some leaks in the hydraulic system, so I need to go ahead and put new seals in the hydro motor over here, and then do some adjustments on it overall. So by buying these machines used, you can get them for a pretty cheap price, and then once spring comes around, you have a pretty reliable machine, and you didn't even wind up spending that much money on it overall, as long as you do all the maintenance yourself. If you go to a dealer, you're probably going to wind up spending more money, but if you do the maintenance yourself, it shouldn't be that expensive. So I think this one, like I said before, I bought it for $600, and then I think in total it was about $800 after I put everything into it. This one I bought for $700, and it was right at about $1,000 after I put everything into it. And then this one I just bought for $2,200, and it'll probably be around $2,400 once I'm done with all the repairs on that one. So if you're just starting out doing landscaping, or maybe you just need a mower for home and you're looking at walk-behinds, these older Bobcats, there's plenty of them out there. I'm sure you've seen them on Marketplace if you've been looking. There's plenty of them out there. They come with, most of them come with a Kawasaki FC420V or something similar, but I've had pretty much no issues with that engine. So those things are known for being pretty reliable. You shouldn't really have any issues with that. And overall, these things, as long as the deck isn't rusted out or anything, they're really solid mowers. I've been mowing, I cut a ton of grass with that thing and really haven't had any issues with that. But yeah. So overall, as far as the different brands go, I gotta recommend the Skags. Skag has a reputation for just building the toughest mowers out there. This deck is just extremely durable. You can tell, like, this is just a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square piece of steel in the front there for bumping into stuff. And I'm telling you, you could bump into trees and rocks with this thing all day, and it will not care. Like, this thing is just built like a complete tank. So the biggest downside to owning a Skag, and they make these in a hydro too, and they pretty much have the same issue, but the Skag belt drives too, is that these controls are so heavy. They're just known for, and these are called pistol grips, but they're just known for giving people carpal tunnel and tendonitis, which is actually why I bought this machine. I'm developing tendonitis in my hand from this, and you get the same thing from these mowers too, but it's not as bad because the springs aren't that heavy on these. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. So if you're cutting a lot of grass with those, I definitely recommend getting something other than a pistol grip. Like these should be a little bit better. They're much lighter, and it's kind of like this and not down here, so that should help a lot. But if you get like a standard mower, and I think Exmark makes them too, the best thing would be the controls on those, because those are just like a back and forth motion. You're not really squeezing like these ones, but those are a lot more expensive, and I don't think they make them on a walk behind mower. I think they're just on standard mowers, and then the zero turns too, you have like this. So another downside to these mowers is you are pretty much walking behind them, but a way to get around that is just adding a sulky, and they sell these. You can put them on pretty much any walk behind, and they just pop down like that, and you could just ride behind it, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but you're definitely not walking all the time. And then if you are going and working on a hill or something, you can just kind of swivel it around and fold it out of the way. And that's just with the Velke brand though. I'm pretty sure Velke is the only brand that does that. This sulky I actually made myself, and that swivels around as well. But if you are going to buy a sulky, I would definitely recommend getting a Velke brand. They're much more expensive, but it would be so annoying to just have one of those in your controls all day if you're trying to mow on a hill or something. So it's definitely worth the extra money to get one that swivels all the way around and goes out of the way. Not to mention too, if you need to pull the machine backwards or go in reverse, if this thing doesn't swivel around all the way, it kind of just gets caught. Let me show you. It'll get caught like that underneath the this bar here, and it won't be able to swivel out of the way, so it'll just get stuck, and then you rip up the lawn, and it's not good. You don't want that. So just get one that swivels all the way around, or make your own, or maybe modify one that doesn't. As far as belt drives versus hydrostatic transmissions, the belt drives are definitely going to be cheaper to maintain. Even if you need a new transmission, this is a Peerless transmission. I actually rebuilt it. It's not too hard to do that, but if you did just want to buy a new transmission, I think you get an aftermarket one for like 200 bucks. And then a genuine Peerless one is around 500, I'm pretty sure. And then other than that, you really only are looking at changing belts once these wear out, which isn't too bad. I think they're like 40 bucks a piece, so you're doing 80 for the two of them. And they should last at least one season, maybe two, if you're not doing a lot of mowing. But the downside to these are that when it rains, they tend to slip a little bit, or maybe when it's wet and dewy out in the morning, they tend to slip a little bit. But it's not the end of the world. I mean, you could still cut with it, but it's not as easy to cut as when they're dry. When you have a hydrostatic, these things are pretty reliable most of the time. You don't have to deal with belts or belt tension or anything like that. The only downside to them really is if they go out. Each hydro motor is going to be very expensive, and these things being a Skag, there's two of them on here, and each one of these are like over $1,000 a piece. So if one of those goes out, you're going to be out a lot of money. So if you are buying one used, make sure you check the hydros, make sure they're not going bad or need to be replaced. Otherwise, you should definitely try and negotiate that down a good amount, because that's an expensive repair. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching.